Hey folks, this is Robert Longoria, and you're watching Film by Design, exclusively playing on the Press Play Network. So this is a quick video. I just wanted to go ahead and update for this Thursday, kind of where I'm at with my film production. It's not a feature film, it's again a short film. I'm again kind of on the down low when it comes to talking about the process, because I haven't really broken down the filmmaking process yet. Still working on it, still needing to tweak things up. But in a nutshell, I'm waiting right now on the script. We've gone ahead and revised the script. We've gone through several iterations of the last the last week of December all the way to right now. So it's been roughly about a month and a half tops that we've been revising for this particular short film project. So up until now, we've mainly kind of reviewed, revised, etc. Now it's just a process of waiting for the final changes, hopefully, to be implemented and submitted to me, so I can go ahead and go through the process of breaking down each specific scene. Now, of course, there is software in, I'm sure, Final Draft Pro or Writer Duet, other screenwriting and production breakdown software. But what I'm trying to do, I guess, for me, because I'm someone that I need to learn it by just doing it with my hands. I'm a real tactile learner, and I'm sure I can apply it then from that tactile learning to software. What I'm doing right now, though, is kind of looking at it from a book point of view. I really am that type of person that learns better when I read, when I write, when I react. And so I picked this up through Amazon. It's certainly not super expensive, but it's also not dirt cheap either. It sent me back, I think, about 15-20 bucks, more or less. It is, and you can't see it here because it's reversed, it's Scheduling and Budgeting Your Film, a Panic-Free Guide by Paula Landry. So I started reading that today, actually. I really wanted to get a handle on scheduling the film, and it's basically more or less breaking down the script by the props, by the characters, by these little details that we sort of overlook. Now, you can, of course, have your software do that for you, but I'm the type of person to where I'll read the script, break down scene by scene by scene, review any details. What I'm probably going to be doing in the next day or so is reformatting the script. And I kind of want to just use this time right now in this video to kind of show you briefly my book library, just when it comes to filmmaking. By no means is it comprehensive with every single thing, but I think it would be helpful to viewers that are always just looking for information pertaining to filmmaking. So I'll go ahead and do that right now. One of the books that I just kind of really enjoy applying to my screenwriting whenever I do it, and of course you're going to see it in reverse, is the Hollywood Standard. Now, with the Hollywood Standard, it's by Christopher Riley. It's basically a formatting guide for screenplays. So let's say you have written your screenplay and you need to get it production ready, right? Well, this formatting this screenwriting Bible basically kind of goes over the different techniques that you can do. So, for instance, right, most professional screenwriters know the interior, exterior, the margin, the font, etc. For screenwriting, even if you're using word processor, WordPerfect, your basic word processing. I think Paul Thomas Anderson actually does his scripts on Microsoft Word. But for me personally, I prefer using Writer Duet. I might switch over to Final Draft Pro. Just depends, I guess, the software. It's really just a tool. But what I really love about this book is that it encourages you as a writer to think more critically and get your scripts in a production-ready format. I'm going to just show you the book briefly. It's right here. The Hollywood Standard by Christopher Riley. And this is basically kind of just to really format your script to get it production ready. As I'm going to be revising this screenplay by the writers and director, I am going to be standardizing it so that I can properly break it down according to the character breakdown, the script breakdown, etc. I want to make sure that I'm able to look at the different props we need, the locations, all that. And to do that, I really need to format it in a way that's helpful. It's good practice for me. Not everybody needs to do that. Certainly, if you're producing your own content or your own film or, TV show on your own as a really low budget indie filmmaker, using your iPhone or using whatever tools you have available, you just need to do your script in a way that fits your needs. This is not judgment, but for me personally, I think that standardizing it according to this specific need is just helpful for me. I plan to work across a wide spectrum of projects as a producer, as a writer, as a director, and to speak that sort of universal language when it comes to screenwriting and production, etc. I really need to get a good handle on the standard for that. And you can always adapt to the different systems that different filmmakers, different producers, different creators have. I'm not saying that you don't, but for me personally, I want to make sure that what I do is as universally understood as possible, so that when I am collaborating with folks, they know exactly, Robert is breaking it down into 17 scenes with 5 characters, and this is something that we just can go over a few times and get and understand. Knowing in mind, of course, that screenwriting is basically a blueprint. It's a blueprint that you're going to be having, and it's always probably going to be changing for the most part to adapt to the situation on set, in post, etc. But for what our purposes are, right? We need to have a solid foundation that people can understand and refer to. Okay, the script is this many scenes, and we can understand that. So usually the common language for me, I think, just with that is understood through the stylization / standardization of the screenplay. So that's a useful script that I'm going to be just using, that screenplay Bible that I'm going to be breaking down the script at, just to kind of share with you the tools. Just to go over my other tools, right, in my tool belt, my library, is a few things, right? So these are very useful books. They're more reference books than anything else. If you're someone that is looking to be holistic in their approach to producing works that are across a multitude of genres, a multitude of mediums, then I think it's certainly worth your time to just research this for yourself. You can utilize, if you're at a university, your local university library. You can look it up at a library. If you're really wanting to do it, I say just get the text. If you're someone that has the availability to do it, you can put in the hard work. I personally don't get a hard-on for cameras, lenses, etc. I get a hard-on for the knowledge that comes in the textbook. To me, that what you use up here is really what matters most when it comes to developing your skill level. And for me, as someone that is fascinated by administrative process in addition to the creative process, right? The creative and the business portions, right, of show business. I definitely want to have a holistic approach to that. So one of the books that I also am utilizing, and this is more for development. This is more, I guess, once you establish a production company, development, instead of just doing it with friends, this is something that I guess I would recommend to someone that is interested in doing their own studio work, production company, is the Producer's Business Handbook. And this is in its third edition. This is by John J. Lee Jr. and Anne Marie Gillian. It's more or less a financing model looking at the different, broadly, I guess, looking at the flow of production, right? Part of that is distribution, part of that is looking at the territories, looking at the distribution models, ancillary rights, more on the business side of things. It's kind of a little bit outdated. This is the third edition. I think that there's some more recent one in the works or has been made available late 2017, early 2018. It's something that I'm definitely going to be updated on because it's an invaluable tool when you're really researching the broader aspects. It's short and sweet. It's part of, I believe, the American Film Market series, which is a really excellent series that focuses on the business side of show business. Really, when you're putting and financing a film together, you're going to be taking your film out to the American film market. You're going to be attaching actors, you're going to be attaching talent, cast, crew, etc., developing these properties, these LLCs in some cases, most cases I would imagine, and networking with folks to develop these package deals together. For most indie filmmakers that are at above a certain level, certainly it's not everything, but it's a big part for those that are on the upper echelon, I guess, of the budget scale. So if you're a real low budget filmmaker and you're sort of scaling up, it's something that you would want to definitely look at. Now, if you're the type of person that is just like, I prefer to shoot on my iPhone, or I prefer to kind of have more control over the type of content that I shoot, and I really just want to keep it with my community of filmmaking friends, producing friends, that you have no interest maybe in selling beyond a certain size of an audience, maybe. I think that's the way that I would look at it, right? If your ambitions are more reserved and less kind of focused on, I guess, broader package deals and developing, a talent when it comes to approaching higher budgets, it might not be for you. I have an interest in that, personally speaking. I think that there are a lot of scalable applications that you can do, even if you're not interested in, going above a certain budget. You want to kind of keep control over it. I definitely think it's worth at least an Amazon viewpoint. The least you can do is look it up, and I think it's just fascinating to me. Another reference book that I'm using and definitely will be pulling from is the Complete Film Production Handbook. And so this is by Eve Light I'm going to mispronounce her name. Honthener. So that's Honthhaner. And so it's basically this really big, comprehensive production handbook that sort of walks you through agreements, through the overall film production process, locations, deals. I'm going to just go off the bat that some of this, again, is outdated. Some of it you're going to have to just kind of, for instance, SAG agreements for some of the documents and templates. You could pretty much pull them off of their main site on the companion site to the book. But for me, as someone that is just learning the craft of the business, in addition to the art side, to me it's just great to have this as a reference dictionary, basically, a reference book. Looking up what these agreements are, I'm looking at the specific checklist, and what I'm probably going to be doing is referencing this and developing some sort of workflow. So for instance, right, if there's a checklist of things that I need to do as a producer, I'm probably gonna make, okay, we're at the pre-production stage, this is what I have to do, these are the films that I have to fill out, get them done. By the way, part of the process of putting together this short film is going to be including some legal endeavors. I need to speak with my production partners, make sure that we're all registering the script with the Library of Congress. That's one key thing that you need to do. Not necessarily the Writers Guild of America, but the Library of Congress. From the moment of invention, right, it is copywritten to the author. But you definitely want to make sure that you have a copy of the script. And, you know, as long as you do that, you should be fine. Legally speaking, you have ownership of that. And make sure that you have a clear chain of title. So that's kind of brief on that. If you want to look up the term clean chain of title, that's really important if you see this as a business. You want to make sure that your chain of title has, you know, you have the proper legal forms, right? Location agreements, the music release, the actor's release. I'm not sure for the short film that we're doing. I'm not sure that we want to reach out to an entertainment lawyer. Personally speaking, I'm probably a little bit hesitant. Probably will use broader templates. You know, we need to see on that. We need to make sure that that's all good. But we'll probably use some of the forms that we have here, make sure that we tweak them a little bit to our needs, and work within that framework so that when we put this together, if we're able to sell this film, not only just to a local audience, but potentially to a sales agent for international rights. Those are really important. That's something that I definitely want to be able to do at some point, be able to start thinking strategically, think to myself, ask myself, Robert, when you're working on a project, what is more profitable for you and the folks that are working with you? Would it be better if you just sold off the rights internationally and kept domestically for DVD copies? Or for a short film, do you even want to deal with making DVD copies? Maybe you just want to focus on digital distribution, in which case you just do worldwide rights for yourself. But in order to do that legally, soundly, right, you need to have a clear chain of title. And sometimes if you're selling to a distribution company, in the research that I've done, you do need to have E&O insurance if you're working on a feature film. Now you can have E&O, which is basically errors and omission insurance on your feature film. If you reach out before production and you ask, that E&O insurance coverage. This is the amount of days that we're going to be shooting. This is what we're doing. This is our budget, etc. Can you cover us? And so you build that into that. So if there are any errors or omissions, like it says, your butt is kind of technically covered almost. Looking at after you shoot a major production, and again I'm talking about feature film, you can certainly buy E&O insurance after the fact. There might be more paperwork involved when it comes to doing it for a feature film after the fact, if you're going to be picked up by a distributor or potential distributor. But you definitely want to probably factor that in before if you're doing a feature film. For this short film, I'll probably not look into E&O insurance. I might look for it in a feature film if it is of a more sizable budget and if I'm working with more established actors that are maybe SAG. I'll probably definitely do that. Looking at, I guess, this sort of project, one thing that I'm trying to process, right, is this idea of deliverables. And so when I am reaching either with a distributor partner or even delivering this myself to a content aggregator to buffer to iTunes or to Netflix or Amazon Prime. I need a list of deliverables like captions, I should say. Captions, certain codecs. That's something that I'm always just thinking about, broadly about this project. But bringing it back into the sort of books that I'm also reading, that's another book. Again, it's the Complete Film Production Handbook, 4th edition. Looking at a really practical, I'm going to tell you what, this is a really great film. I recommend you look up this author's name. I'm looking forward to the producing course that she's going to do. This book is by Suzanne Lyons. Look, I've listened to her, I think 2 times, maybe even 3 times in the Indie Film Hustle podcast by, I'm blanking out at his name, Alex Ferrari. Absolutely, yeah, that's his name. Indie Film Hustle podcast with Alex Ferrari. Welcome, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, I've listened to that hundreds of times, I think, over the course of the podcast. Sometimes more than once. This really wonderful book is called The Indie Film Producing, The Craft of Low-Budget Filmmaking. And so Suzanne Lyons is the author of the book. So many practical tips when it comes to forming an LLC, that is a limited liability company. Location scan. A lot of what is covered in the Complete Film Production Handbook is made even more practical. Not to say that either book is better than the other, they just have different strengths. But I definitely recommend that you just check both of those out. Especially this. This is probably the most down-to-earth, really step-by-step process on film producing that I've read so far. Really great stuff. I definitely recommend it. It's $15-20 tops. Worth the investment to keep. For me as a producer, I love it. Now there are several legal books that I have. I couldn't tell you the names off the top of my head right now just because it's real late and I think I've lent them out a few times. Let me see, is it in here? It might be. Let's see. This is one a friend of mine actually lent me. Just kind of going over it briefly. It's actually by Francis Ford Coppola's, I believe his script for The Conversation was reviewed through this book. This is actually lent from me for a friend. I'm going to have to give it back to you, man. It's called Film Scheduling by Ralph S. Singleton. And it's this second edition. It's an out-of-print book. It's kind of more technical, and I could see its use. For me, I kind of decided, well, I can review that and sort of go to that, read it again. But I decided to also just kind of take a gamble and see, okay, what is something that is printed in the last 5 years that would be useful to me, maybe 5 to 7 years tops, that I could use integrating the latest sort of trends or software, something useful. I found the Scheduling and Budgeting Your Film, a panic-free guide. This is by Paula Landry. So far I've read it today, like I said before, and it's helpful. I'm going to be using that guide moving forward, going to be applying it, tweaking it to my needs. It's pretty, again, practical, down to earth. I just need to format the script, review that, schedule accordingly, and I do plan on sharing with you the schedule breakdown at some point. I just wanted to share with you briefly about what I've been doing. There's a lot of books, a lot of knowledge that I've been reviewing in preparation for this short film production. I plan to shoot over spring break, over a production of about 7 days, so 5 work week days, and 2 to 4 actually weekend days. And what a blessing that is. I plan to meet with the folks that I'm working with tomorrow. We're going to be working and just breaking down exactly what it is we need to do when it comes to the script. I'm going to get the script, I'm going to format it correctly, make it more active words instead of passive words, tweak it a bit. And I hope to be able to talk a little bit about the script writing process when it comes to formatting scripts in the proper way. I think that's something that we all need to work on. It's something that I'm definitely working on myself. You know, knowledge is power, but power that needs to be applied. I just wanted to share with you a couple of my recommended books, especially when it comes to production. It's what I'm working with right now to make this a reality. And for those of you filmmakers, creators out there that just want to be able to be holistic in your approach, these are the recommended books that I wholeheartedly encourage you to pick up and read. I believe the future is work created by creators, distributed by creators ultimately. And that sounds like, oh, well, that's YouTube. Oh, that's, well, of course. But I imagine future filmmakers will be able to fund their entire work productions through fans, through their own production companies, in a less restricted format than the traditionally thought of. I've got to hire 1 million people to fund me. No, you don't actually. You can actually do it very affordably. You can do it with your fan base. But that's another video down the road. I just wanted to drop some knowledge bombs with you, with my own experience, what I've been listening to, what I've been reading. There's no excuses, folks. We gotta just hustle and be able to do what we need to do and have fun with it. You've been watching Film by Design. Thank you for watching. This is Robert Longoria, and we'll see you next Thursday. Have a great one. Adios.